Tamara, Olushayo, Audrey, and the work of the team will be presented by Nick and Joanne. Thank you.
If you could now all please close your eyes. Remember your time as a high school student. Bring to mind how your classroom looked like. What do you see? Remember the desk in front of you? Your classmates around you? Your teacher in front of you? What do you hear? What does it smell like? Now, if you could all please open your eyes again. And now, look around you. Does this hall really look that different from that classroom you remember? With me in front of you, can you tell how I feel? Because I definitely cannot tell how you guys feel. This is how a teacher could feel in front of the whole classroom. No idea what the students are thinking. Let's explore that further. If you could all now please stand up. And now, try to face the person besides you. Doesn't matter if you end up facing a back, someone's eyes, that's fine. And when you're facing your neighbor, I want you to look at their eyes. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? Look past those eyes. Can you really tell? And now, let's try to shift this to the modern classroom. All of you who have a phone, please take it out. While facing your neighbor, put it in front of you. Now, how much more difficult is it to really tell how that person's feeling? You have now put yourself in the situation the teachers are facing nowadays. How big is that gap between you and the human being behind the next set of eyes in front of you? Remember this gap.
You may all please sit down now. But now do you have a better idea of the frustration a teacher feels in the classroom? Imagine we could bridge this gap by providing a teacher with actionable and holistic feedback. But how? The concept of feedback is nothing new. You may have heard of feedback forms. But is this kind of feedback really helpful? Is it really helping to bridge the gap? We don't think so. We should consider other forms of feedback. What about the questions students are asking in class, or their participation, or maybe the resources they're accessing? This is the key to unlocking the classroom of the future, looking at active and passive feedback. But this brings us to our solution. We propose an AI-based website called LearnBridge. Now, this website will have two interfaces. Here's our login. So we have one for the student and one for the teacher. So for the student, this looks like just a fun place to learn. This is Bridget the hedgehog, by the way. And here we have an AI chatbot that is trained on the student's curriculum, so the student can ask any question it likes. You can also play interactive educational games and give direct student feedback. But in reality, this is a big data collection powerhouse. This is what provides a consolidated summary for the teacher. And here are the different features of the platform for the student.
Now, after class, the teacher can log into his own overview of LearnBridge. Here, he can find all the student feedback, the direct feedback, as well as all that collected and processed data from the games the students play, the questions they ask, and their whole interaction with the platform. This is passive feedback. This aggregated feedback per class can provide the teacher with actionable recommendations while still protecting the privacy of the individual student. This holistic feedback can be both quantitative and qualitative. The teacher can also upload new resources using the recommendations so that the AI model can link to them and help the students find them in a tailored way.
So, in short, our plan is to harness the power of AI to provide the teacher with actionable and holistic feedback to enable the classrooms of tomorrow. So together, let's bridge the gap. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. So as for the other group, I will start with a bit of feedback. So again, I think, sorry. Okay. Sorry, we'll let the rest of the team go on stage before I give the feedback. So I think here again, I was really impressed in how you tackled the topic together. I know like you had many different ideas and you had to find like one consistent core message that addresses like the interest of everybody. So I was very impressed how you navigated this. Also, like I remember on the first day, it was really a broad idea of like using AI and feedback, but it could go in any direction. And you actually spent a lot of time like trying to emphasize with the teacher, with the student, and try to build a platform that really addresses the core problem. And there was a lot of evolution in that direction like throughout the few days. So good job on this. I think you also spent quite some time again, like in the same direction, like thinking about when we bring technology to the classroom, like how do we still foster the connection between the different people involved? How do we make sure that we don't go into like policing the students and all of that? So there was a lot of thinking going into this, which I found quite interesting as well. One thing that I keep poking you about, and I'll do it again now, is the feasibility. So I know, like, for example, in our institution, we use solutions like Moodle, and that already takes quite some time to train the teachers. To use those platforms and the students and like to make sure we have a common space for learning, and it's not always working. So that's the question, like how can you bring that to the classroom? How can you prepare the teachers for this platform, and how can you convince institutions to adopt this solution, which I know is very challenging to think about, but still interesting, I think. And yeah, based on that, I would like to open the floor for questions.
I think that this may work for perhaps older people, but I'm wondering about younger people, if trying to make them participate, not that much, but like measuring the participation, whether they answer the AI questions or not, can create perhaps a too competitive environment for young kids that may be like pressure to answer those questions even if they don't feel like it. Have you think about that?
Just to clarify, so this solution was primarily towards high school students. So yes, of course, as the audience gets a little bit more older, as we go into university level or continuing education, we'd probably change some of the features a little bit to adapt to the audience. But yes, we have thought about that. I don't know whether anyone wants to add anything. And in terms of competitiveness, this is more anonymized. So the students are working on this individually, primarily in the classroom, but also in, they can use it at home as well. There's no really limit, but it's kind of designed. It can be used in the classroom or as homework help, but they should not be, there's no really way they could see other students' performance, the way we've designed it. There's a question here, or? Yeah. Sorry.
So, regarding also this, regarding the competitiveness and also collaboration between students, I think there's definitely a benefit to some level of well, competitiveness in the classroom where students try to achieve the best they can and collaborate and maybe learn from each other. And so do you think that there's potentially a risk that these students are going to be kind of completely kind of like on a one-on-one, maybe very interesting or very kind of engaged with this program, with this platform, but that they're not going to interact with their fellow classmates?
Does anyone else want to take that, or?
Okay. I think what this model could do is it's not necessarily transforming the entirety of high school education, but it's more so allowing us to work with the advancement of AI instead of completely turning against it. I think already we're seeing students are turning to sources like ChatGPT, are turning to more online resources of information. And I think maybe we've seen symptoms of this with entire school districts, entire maybe cities banning the widespread use of ChatGPT, banning it on their school computers. Our form is more so allowing teachers to get ahead of this, allowing teachers to work with this platform, but also we're still having that peer-to-peer collaboration within the classroom, and also our hope is we're bridging the gap as well between students and their teachers by, I guess, allowing teachers to work with the technology rather than kind of almost fearing it in a sense.
May I add, we were also thinking about how to foster collaboration through add-ons as, for example, group games or like group educational exercise game. And also, if there are the resources, maybe also like convert it into VR probably, and also force like the embodiment learning, because like we know if there are like bodily action part of the learning, it's better, especially in collaboration. So that's also a thing we were talking about and can like improve and be an add-on.
Thank you very much. I think we need to go to the... we can do one more? Okay, we can do one more. I think we have a question here.
Did you consider or thought about filter for AI? I'm thinking just if people send comments or so. I'm just thinking about hate speech. How did you think about it?
Oh yes, definitely. Any feedback that the student gives is filtered through. That's kind of part of the constructive part. So it's filtered through and it's kind of summarized in a way. So say the student says, I couldn't understand anything, the teacher speaks like a race car. That's not really helpful. The AI will transform it into speak a bit slower. So something that it can work on. So it also will filter out any hate speech, anything overly negative, and maybe bring out the kernel of truth that might be in that comment without hurting the teacher.
Yeah, but then the students should also learn how to formulate a comment without being unpolite. In this case, it's not an insult.
Yes.
But if you say you are garbage and the AI say, oh, you could improve, I mean, AI should also say to this person, this comment is unacceptable,
yes.
Please.
Definitely. That's another feature that you would consider adding on.
Yeah?
Yeah,
cool.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much for the questions. Again, if you have more questions later on, you can find the team. And I would like to ask for another round of applause for this great.